Imagine finding a drink that can make people laugh, sing, dance, and forget their worries for a while. Now imagine discovering it by complete accident. Thousands of years ago, no one knew what alcohol was. There were no breweries, no bars, and no recipes. Yet somehow, ancient humans stumbled upon a strange liquid that would eventually change cultures all over the world. But how did they find it? Did someone invent it on purpose? Or did nature reveal the secret first? The answer begins long before written history. Ancient humans spent much of their time gathering food from the wild. They collected berries, fruits, nuts, and anything else they could eat. Every day was a search for survival. One day, some of that fruit may have been forgotten. Instead of being eaten right away, it sat in a warm place for days. As the fruit softened, something invisible began to happen. Tiny organisms called yeast landed on the fruit and started feeding on its natural sugars. The yeast transformed those sugars into alcohol. No human knew it was happening. Nature was running a chemical experiment all by itself. Eventually, someone found the old fruit. It smelled different. It looked different, but food was precious, so throwing it away was not always an option. After eating the fermented fruit, people may have noticed something strange. They felt warmer. Their mood changed. They became less cautious and more relaxed. Wild animals seem to experience this even today. Birds, monkeys, and other animals have been seen eating fermented fruit and acting differently afterward. Ancient humans probably noticed these effects too. What began as a random discovery quickly became something worth remembering. Soon, people may have started searching for fruit that produced the same feeling. Instead of avoiding fermentation, they began to recognize it. As human groups settled into villages, their relationship with food changed. They started growing crops instead of only gathering from nature. This created a new opportunity. Large amounts of grain could now be stored in one place. Sometimes rainwater mixed with stored grain. Sometimes the mixture sat for days. Once again, yeast got involved. The grains began to ferment, creating a primitive alcoholic drink. It was very different from modern beer, but it produced familiar effects. At first, people may not have fully understood why it happened. They only knew that certain mixtures changed over time and became something new. Over many generations, communities learned which ingredients worked best. They discovered that some grains fermented better than others. Slowly, accidental discoveries turned into intentional experiments. Ancient brewers did not have laboratories. They learned through observation, mistakes, and repetition. In places like Mesopotamia, one of the world's earliest civilizations, people began producing beer on a larger scale. Beer became more than a drink. It became part of daily life. Workers drank it, families shared it, religious ceremonies included it. In some cases, it was even used as a form of payment. Meanwhile, in other parts of the world, different civilizations were making their own alcoholic beverages. In ancient China, people fermented rice, honey, and fruit to create early alcoholic drinks. In the Caucasus region, people began fermenting grapes, leading to some of the earliest forms of wine. Across different continents, humans were reaching similar discoveries without knowing it, but alcohol offered more than enjoyment. In many ancient settlements, clean drinking water was not always easy to find. Water sources could become contaminated and spread disease. Some fermented drinks were safer to consume because parts of the brewing process helped reduce harmful microorganisms. This made alcohol surprisingly useful in everyday life. As civilizations grew, alcohol became deeply connected to culture. People celebrated victories with it, they honored gods with it, they marked weddings, festivals, and important events with it. Stories, traditions, and rituals formed around these drinks. For thousands of years, alcohol remained mysterious. People knew how to make it, but they did not understand the science behind it. The real secret stayed hidden inside microscopic yeast cells. Only much later would scientists discover what was actually happening during fermentation. The biggest surprise is that alcohol was probably never invented by a single person. There was no ancient genius who suddenly created it one day. Instead, nature created alcohol first. Humans simply noticed it. A forgotten piece of fruit, a container left sitting too long, or grain exposed to water may have started one of the most influential discoveries in human history. What began as an accident eventually spread across kingdoms, empires, and continents. Today, alcohol remains part of cultures around the world, yet its story traces back to a simple moment when ancient humans observed something unusual and chose to explore it instead of ignore it. Sometimes the discoveries that shape civilization are not planned at all. Sometimes they begin with a piece of fruit quietly changing in the sun.